Whoopsie.
What's up, everybody? Daniel Allison, the average dude, along with my cousin and co-host. Her name is
Jenny Winny.
Jenny Winny. And if you see, folks, I've got to say this out loud because I keep seeing myself just a little bit of a freeze, And it's not a new dance move. It's actually the internet connection. So hopefully it's not too bad on your end. Thank you for tuning in. If you are watching, please say so in the comments. Say hello and carry on the conversation.
We've been gone 2 weeks. It's just, Daniel tried to do it without me.
Wow. Let me tell you something. The level of appreciation that I have for my cousin after trying to do a live broadcast, that is a different deal, Jenny. That is, I didn't know exactly where to go with the conversation. Darian Blue. Hey, I was thinking about you the other day, man. Good to see you.
Actually, I was thinking 2 days ago.
He said something. So Darian, he's a great speaker, and one of the first speeches I heard him talk about, he said, "Don't let your pain become your personality." I love that.
That's good.
Well, yes, because that's what happens, isn't it? We get. Hey, there's Dwayne. Good to see Dwayne. Hey, sorry I wasn't able to make it this morning to Toastmasters, Dwayne. I hope you were there. But he said, don't let the pain become the personality.
Hey, wait a second. Little shout out to Danny.
Oh yeah, Danny DeVito.
Yep. I don't know why. It's just like I've grown attached to Danny.
Yeah, well, it's your new thing. I love the on air right over your shoulder there. It says on air.
That was from my daughter Maggie. Remember, she bought that, and so
that's cool. Yeah, hey, you've got all the cool stuff. I've got just this boring background, this boring apartment.
Yeah, if you could see the rest of everything in here, it's kind of like.
Ugh. Yeah. Well, hey, as long as the frame looks good, we're happy here. And so that Darian Blue, I'm sure that's what Dwayne was talking about. Great idea. Well, that's what happens. He's talking about being in summertime, and there's something happens, right? Mm-hmm. And we feel that kind of switch in us, and then we change what we looked at one way. All of a sudden, our perspective changes. So we got to keep an eye on ourselves. So I appreciated that. Thanks everybody for jumping in. We've got a guest today. A great guest. Mm-hmm. Jenny, are you excited about the guest?
Yes, because you know what? I think we've talked to him actually twice, haven't we?
Well, he's popped on here a couple of times. And
like short little things. Like
that's right. Short little hellos.
Walking down the beach. I do remember he was walking down the beach. You remember?
Yeah. So we're gonna talk to him and introduce him to some of the new folks. Hello, Melissa and Quinn. Hello, Julie. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
What's on your mind this morning?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's like I haven't been feeling that great.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm fighting something, but I'm not sure what I'm fighting.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Is your pain gonna become your personality?
Oh, it is my personality.
All right. Well, I need you to feel better just for a little bit here.
Well, you know what? It's like one of the things that I was trying to pull up today for us was you were born in 77, correct?
76, actually. Yeah. October the 18th, 1976.
You're older than I realized.
My average dude.
Because I was, you know what? I started thinking about because I was born in 74. The things that were popular then, what was going on? We were born in this time, but we have no idea what was going on. It was like when I started to look it up, Richard Nixon resigned in 74.
Yes.
I mean,
hey, Michael.
Hello.
Hi. So Richard Nixon. So you started looking at all of the different political environment.
Anything. You know what I mean? Like what was like, well, see, I thought you were born in 77, but you weren't. So it doesn't matter.
No.
The first Star Wars movie came out. Things like that,
The first Star Wars movie came out in 77?
I think so.
Wow.
I think it did. Let's see. Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I was accurate on that. Very accurate. Mhm.
Why do I think that I remember going to see that?
Because we went and saw The Empire Strikes Back.
Yes, Empire Strikes Back. What's up, Tyler? Good to see you. Hey,
Hey.
thanks for all the people jumping on today. Sometimes you take a little time off and you come back and you get to see some new faces. So appreciate everybody jumping in. 77 was a good year.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Like 3 years old.
76 was bicentennial year. Absolutely.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I'm kind of a special. I think that means I'm special in some way.
Oh, you're special. And some, yeah.
Well, it's hot, Jenny. Have you been hot? Have you been outside at all?
Yeah. You know, it's funny because we've put in a pool. I told you that.
Yes, you did. You hadn't invited me up yet, but yes.
Well, I mean, it's still in works.
Oh,
I mean, the pool's ready, but it's like everything around it. Not okay. Wait a minute. I have to stop a second, Tyler. Nobody likes a bragger.
okay. Tyler said he's born in 92. Dang.
I was familiar with 92.
Yeah.
I got married the first time.
Round one.
Woo! But
Yeah.
it's super hot. It is super duper hot.
Today was different than any other day. So let me tell you my little story that I wanted to talk about. This is my first cup of coffee, by the way.
Okay. It's
cold. It's cold. I put it in the refrigerator because I couldn't drink it hot. It was so dad blamed hot this morning.
I don't like cold coffee.
Yeah. So my situation, my morning. So I missed F3, which is my fitness group. I missed F3 I very rarely miss it. I missed it on Tuesday, but anytime you miss something, it's real hard to do what? Get back on track.
Yep.
It's very easy to start things, but when you stop, and then try to get going again, that is hard. So all night last night, I kept waking up like every hour thinking, oh my gosh, 5 a.m. is going to come early.
Yep.
And it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
And I woke up at 5 and I was like, you know what? I don't feel that bad. I was like, well, that's good. Put on my clothes and got out there. Jenny, it was so hot. I was about to die. And the guy that was doing the workout was just pushing us to another limit. I thought, well, hey, this is how it happens. At least I felt good. You know what? To be grateful for getting up and feeling good, at least not being too incredibly tired. So
that's what I'm saying. I mean, and I have to say too, it's like I always try to just think, okay, how's the positive of this heat? Well, I'm out there, I'm sweating, my body's working. We're trying to build a little pool house, and we're doing it ourselves. And nice. I'm out there, pouring concrete and scraping brick and mortar, and that.
Wow, you like doing this sort of thing, huh?
Not really, no.
Okay.
But I do like to save money. And then I started thinking, our grandmother did the same sort of thing. She'd always be out there just doing it. So
yeah.
But sweat dripping, my shirt, you could have wrung it out. It was so.
Oh, absolutely.
It makes me feel kind of good, like I've done something,
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the reward comes after you give that push. And speaking of bringing your shirt out, so one of the guys I work out with took his shirt off and did that, and it made a puddle and started traveling that was his sweat going to the lowest point. See that?
It's like, is it starting to rain?
That's crazy. Yeah. So good times in the heat. What's your favorite thing to do? Would you rather go to the beach, the water park, or Carowinds?
Oh, Carowinds, you can cut.
No Carowinds.
No.
What's the best time to go to an amusement park and ride a roller coaster? What time of year?
Fall.
I agree.
Yeah. Not too hot.
Yeah. Like an October trip to Carowinds might be fun. I've been in the mood to ride a roller coaster.
Yeah, but did you not see where that roller coaster at Carowinds? Did you see that?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
You see it, it's like the I can't remember which one it was, the Fury or something, and it's going around, and you see that it's split. It's going around the corner, and it's just
yeah.
Oh.
So that is scary. That is some scary stuff.
Too, Julie. You know what's funny, Julie, too, is that for the beach, Daniel and our families have gone to the beach every year since I can remember. It's just a big family.
Our families, yes.
Yes, our families. And usually, used to, it was immediately when school let out, the beginning of June.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've gone in September, October. You know why? I can't even imagine going in June. It would be so hot.
Oh, it always was.
I know, but God, I
Yeah.
just can't imagine. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Yeah, I like the later in the year beach trip. I think personally, a water park is a lot of fun. I mean, you can get in the wave pool, right? You don't have to wait in a line. You can just jump in the wave pool.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, yeah, I like water. I like slides and stuff, even though, I've gotten kind of old. I mean, that used to be the highlight of us going to the beach. You know what I mean? You remember the concrete ones that if your mat moved a little bit, it's like, oh.
Yeah, those old school slides. Yeah, no pain, no gain. You better stay on the mat. I love water slides. I mean, you just got to be, you're talking about being old. All you have to do is make it up the steps. If you can make it up the steps, you just slide down. Come on now.
I get a little dizzy. You know, I took the grandkids to Great Wolf Lodge and I'm like, oh.
Oh, well, Great Wolf Lodge
is a water park.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the Great Wolf Lodge.
Well, you're thinking about the one in Atlanta, aren't you?
I'm thinking about the one that I went to, the Great Wolf Lodge. Where is it?
I'm talking about you like the water park that's in Atlanta.
Oh, the real deal water parks. Yeah, I'm not talking about one water slide. I'm talking about the ones that got, the rapids.
Yeah.
They got the straight down.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Those will scare you.
Oh, scare you to death. That's why I don't ride those.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you're not sure if you're actually going to come off and take flight. And then by the time you get to the bottom, you could have had on shorts. You could have had on a skirt, but it's going to had on a thong.
Yep. It's like a little sign.
Trying to get everything down as you get up.
That's right. Yeah. So what else is going on, Jenny?
It feels weird. It was like, it's been 2 weeks.
Only 2 weeks. We've done a heck of a lot of shows. We've done so many shows.
I know, but when I was looking, I was like, I miss it.
Absolutely.
Everybody, I've missed it. Even though everybody's like, hey, Daniel. Jenny, Winny have feelings too.
Well, you haven't been on here in these LinkedIn waters very long, so.
Well, I'm just treading. Hey, on another note, this is, you have to think of the positive. I'm growing my followers for the boutique.
Yep, on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, Facebook really is the one that's taken off. But I noticed recently I've lost 264.
Oh, how dare them!
Right. But I'm up to
Did that hurt?
17,000. I'm up to 17,700.
Wow. Wait a minute. Now Joe's a wise man and he always makes you think.
I know. I'm like, wait a minute now. Is it important to do the right thing or to do things right? It's important to do the right thing, in my opinion.
That's absolutely. Now, what is the right thing? That is a subjective situation.
Well,
isn't it?
Could be. Not some things aren't, but we don't need to go there.
Yeah, we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. We're not even get that deep. Joe wanted to take us into a philosophical.
Uh-huh.
Well, I like the philosophical stuff, but maybe not.
Well, I'm just thinking, it's like, is it important to do the right thing? Yeah, it's important to, pay for your groceries.
Oh, yeah. Don't skip out on them.
You could steal them really easily, and that would be doing it right. You know what I mean? It's like,
well, if we have in our, talking about being on track, if I've told myself I'm going to go work out, I'm going to do this, and then I don't go do it, there's some type of psychological pain there for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. If we let ourselves down, if we say, and we've talked about this before,
yes,
if I say this is the right thing for me, I don't care about anybody else, right?
Right.
For if this is the right thing that I'm supposed to do and I don't do it, well, then I'm going to lose momentum. I'm going to lose energy. And it works just the other way. Like discipline, I was thinking about it the other day. So the more discipline I have for me, the more disciplined I am with myself, the better I feel. Mm-hmm. The better results I have, the more effective I am with work, everything. And so
I'm the same way. You know, we were talking about that. Me and you were just the other week, and it's like I can make a commitment with myself, a contract almost.
Yes.
And maybe it's partially because of the OCD I have, but it's like I just can't. I cannot falter on it. I can't.
Well, there's pain if you don't. That's right. So,
hey, I've got 2 pictures I want to show you just to see what kind of memory it brings up for you.
Oh, and I've got a memory thing to bring up with you too, but you show me what you got.
All righty then. All right.
Let's see. Oh, hello. Now that's a jam box. That makes me think of Top Gun when they went out to the beach and the guys, the guys holding the big jam box on his shoulder. But people used to carry those around.
I know.
And play it really loud. It was like the same type of system that people have in their car. I live downtown, and motorcycles and cars. It's like I'm at Myrtle Beach and people are cruising. Oh, yeah. They love the boom box.
You know, it makes me think of, and this is pop culture, but John Cusack was in a movie called Say Anything, and he's standing outside playing this song by Peter Gabriel trying to get her attention.
I did. No, I've never seen the movie, but I've seen that clip. I know the clip you're talking about.
Yeah.
He was trying to win her heart, and he had the music outside. He had the
music playing, and oh God, it was so good.
Now, I have played, just to get a little corny here, I have back in my teenage days, I would think I'd hear a song, and I'd like a girl, and I'd send her that song because I thought it was going to be meaningful.
I mean, it was. I mean, that was back in the day. That's how you did mixed tapes. You'd give it to somebody, you know. It's like,
oh man,
you know, or like
to look back.
Oh, it's sad when I look back at all that kind of stuff now, or when I hear some of the songs and I'm like, that's a terrible song.
Why do we do that? I mean, at some point we'll look back at what we're doing here in this time, and 10 years from now, me and you will be in our 40s, and by then, and we'll look back. We'll look back and we'll say, "Man, what was I doing back then?"
Yeah, or we'll look back and say, "Man, I thought I was so old then. I was looking young."
Now that's true. That's true.
Let's take a moment to think about that.
But now we're talking about that. Let me tell you this. So last night, my mom and dad had all the grandkids over. You know how mom and dad are.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can you imagine having? I mean, that'd be a lot. But what they used to love to watch, all the grandkids used to watch the Jurassic Park, the first one.
It's been on TV lately. It has been on TV lately.
So I went over and watched it with them, and of course, when they were little, my dad would act like the Velociraptor, and he had that whole thing going.
Yeah.
But the kids loved it. But what I would say is that was a great movie. That is unbelievable what they did with that, in my opinion. I'm not a big movie guy, but
you ain't kidding though. And when that Velociraptor comes up and it's like, clever girl, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, you know. And then she finds that on. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your mom and dad went to see that in the theater.
They did?
You know how I know that? Because I babysat your little sister.
Did you really? Now that's old school.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, Jenny, get over here, watch Megan. We're going to go out and have a good time.
They brought her to me. Yep.
Yeah. That was definitely a fantastic movie. They did really good on that.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. The graphics, they made those dinosaurs look real, didn't they?
Well, yes.
Well, they've never done it before. We talked about that last night. I mean, once they made that movie, we've just been kind of improving where that went to.
Yep.
But that was like the big jump. That's been 15 years ago. So
it's been longer than
That's crazy. Time flies when we're having
25 years, Daniel.
What's that?
I think it's been 25 years.
Well, you're the Google queen.
I'm going to. Thank you.
You look up when was Jurassic Park come out, and then we're going to invite Mr. Antarctic Mike, who I see backstage is ready to rock and roll.
Okay, that sounds like a plan to me. Let's see.
I'm waiting on you.
Oh, you're waiting on me to do it. Wait a second.
Yeah. I like to put the pressure on Jenny to see if she can perform.
It is a 1993
Okay, do the math. So that'd be 7 to 2000, and we're in what, 23? So it'd be 30 years. Boom! 30 years ago is when Jurassic Park came out. Are you kidding me?
Well,
let's see if Antarctic Mike remembers that. We're going to bring on Mike Pierce, who goes by the name Antarctic Mike. If you don't know him, you're getting ready to find out who he is.
there he is.
Mike.
30 years?
Uh-huh. That makes you feel like, oh my God.
Well,
what?
Mike, did you go to the theater to watch Jurassic Park?
No, I'm not a science fiction guy.
Yeah. So
like,
you're familiar with the movie, but you didn't go see it?
Correct.
Gotcha.
have you ever seen it?
Never. I'm not a science fiction guy. I'm not a Star Trek guy. I'm not a Star Wars guy. I'm not a Jurassic Park person.
Well,
No.
okay, let me tell you, Mike. Okay. So for Jurassic Park, not so much sci-fi. Just pretend like, okay, if dinosaurs could be cloned and reinvented. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Star Trek, yeah, that's science fiction. I get that. But Jurassic Park, it's something that, I mean, dinosaurs did exist. You know?
Yeah, as far as we know.
Yeah. I can't believe it. But 30 years ago. And it seems like, you know.
Now, Mike, what kind of movies do you like?
I typically only like old black and white movies from the 40s and 50s. That's what I watch. Really? And typically my favorite movies ever were Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh,
wow.
Now, I'm with you.
Love that stuff. Love it. Twilight Zone. Rod Serling was the greatest television script writer ever. You watch those episodes and you go, how can somebody write a story like that?
Yes.
And they're only 20-minute stories, right? Those shows are very short.
Yes.
But I like the old black and white stuff.
You know what, Mike? What's funny is I just recently started rewatching some of the old Twilight Zones. And there was one that my brother and we saw late in the evening, and it scared us to death. And it was
which one was that?
Talking Tina.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. That is the scariest. Dolls are freaking spooky. Dolls and clowns are. You want to give somebody a nightmare? Oh my gosh, I remember that.
I don't like you. I was like, oh my God, he's gonna die.
Talking Tina. The Twilight Zone music, just the music itself kind of creeped me out.
Yeah, well, it'll do that.
The music alone.
Yep.
And Alfred Hitchcock, he had a lot of, he did a lot of different movies, didn't he? I mean, he made so many, and I didn't get a chance to watch all of them. But what's your favorite Alfred Hitchcock?
Any of the mysteries. I didn't really have a favorite. He did some that were more drama and not so much mystery and murder, and I don't like those. I like the ones that were mystery and whodunit, that kind of thing. That was my favorite.
Psycho.
Well,
Psycho, Dial M for Murder. There were a number of them that he did.
Yeah,
really good.
When we were younger, we went to it was MGM Studios at the time, and I remember we went through this Psycho thing. We got and they were telling us how he used Hershey's chocolate syrup as the blood because it was black and white in the tub.
Oh wow!
Didn't make it any less scary for me.
No, of course, if it's in black and white, whether it's brown or red, it really is irrelevant, right? The chocolate almost looks scarier because it almost makes the blood look richer. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. True though. Hey.
Wait a minute.
You don't like sci-fi, but Twilight Zone. You got a little point there.
Yeah.
Did you like?
It's not a movie. Twilight Zone was a show.
Yeah. Did you like Twilight Zone the movie?
No, I like the shows.
Yeah. Even though that movie, Dan Aykroyd starts it off and he's like, you want to see something really scary? And then I'm like, I'm done.
You want to see something really scary? No,
not go to bed with a nightmare, huh?
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
Rodney. Good to see Rodney joining us.
You mentioned Mission Impossible. I'm with you. I am with you. I can't wait for the new Mission Impossible.
It's out, isn't it?
Oh, it is?
Yeah, I think it's out.
Oh, well, whatever.
Well, you need to go see that. Now, what do you think about Tom Cruise there, Antarctic Mike? You like Tom Cruise?
No, I just like I thought the older actors and actresses were better than what they are today. I mean, if you think about it, we didn't have all the special effects in the 40s and 50s. I mean, the only special effects they had were like lighting and shadows. And then you had to rely on the actor and the actress's ability to really put you in the scene of the show. And to me, the quality of the actors was far better in the 40s and 50s than it is today. And that's why I just watch the stuff that I think is better.
Well, you know what? You're right, actually, because it's like then they really had to be good at what they did to get us in that. I mean, think about like Psycho. That is scary, you know, and it was just done with what, you know. So it's like even like Jurassic Park, that was scary on a different way, but it's like that Psycho really told us a story. It got us in there. I scared of Norman.
Yeah, I think all of the things that we can do with the graphics now, I mean, we can create anything. And so maybe that takes away from the storytelling, possibly.
Yeah.
Speaking of storytelling, Mike, I've got two questions for you. Where in the world, you remember that, where's Waldo? Anytime I talk to Mike, it's like, where's Waldo? Where is Antarctic Mike in the United States?
He's in a car.
I'm at home. I'm at home this week. I'm about as far from you guys as I can get. I'm in San Diego.
There you go. Hey, we talked to somebody in San Diego. Remember, Jenny?
Yeah, right. The Rock.
That's right. Raquel,
yeah.
Yeah. So you're not traveling this week.
Not this week, and I was supposed to go to Boise, Idaho next week, but that got canceled. So no, I'm here this week and next week, and then I got to go to Minnesota and Iowa, and then after that, I don't know where. I know I have to go to Canada. I've got to go to New York State. After that, I don't remember.
Boy, you spend a lot of time on the road. I'm telling you what.
Yeah.
How many years have you been doing that, Mike?
Realistically, this kind of travel schedule since about 98. So about 25 years.
Wow.
What is your mode of travel there? Do you drive or do you fly?
I fly because I'm going out of state. Yeah, I'm flying all the time. I mean, I have so many miles on Delta. I think they owe me an airplane. But the problem is I couldn't fill up the gas tank. Right?
Yeah. Well, do you ever, this is just kind of off the subject, but do you get scared flying? Because I'm just so, I'm always scared of flying.
Nope. Never been nervous on a plane in my life. There have only been 2 flights. And I can tell you, one was from Vancouver to Edmonton and one was from Houston to Cleveland. And we went through some pretty good turbulence in the Cleveland flight. There were thunderstorms in the area and they chose to go in and land. And so we had to go through some of that. I think today, if they were making that flight, they probably would have either not taken off or they would have diverted. I mean, the good news about today, and this is why you don't see very many plane crashes in the US anymore, because when it comes to weather causes most of the accidents, it's not mechanical issues.
Right.
And now they're so conservative about weather, they're not even going to go into the gray area.
They don't even
chance.
And,
you know, some passengers get really upset about this. It's like there's thunderstorms and tornadoes and hail. What do you expect them to do? Like, are you kidding me? I mean, so they're not going to take chances today. So, no, I've never been, I like flying.
Well, to that point, Jenny, you saw the Kobe Bryant. Remember Kobe Bryant? He died in the helicopter crash. What did they do? They were trying to go through heavy cloud situation. He was flying blind, so to speak, and got disoriented and thought he was going up and he was going down, hit a mountain, and he was a well-experienced pilot.
That's so sad.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and segue into, for the folks that don't know, Mike, tell us, why in the world are you doing all this traveling? What is it that you do for a living?
I meet business owners. I mean, really, and I see the question in the chat box, what do I do for a living? I tell stories. I've been telling stories from Antarctica for the last 15 years because I can connect them to the points of business and marriage and parenting and all the other things that impact people every day. But recently, about 3 years ago, I actually started telling other people's stories, meaning I go out and I meet these business owners and they're like, gee, I kind of like how you tell stories. Can I tell you our story? And I'll sit down with them and I'll listen And some of these stories are very, very, very compelling. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you want to tell that story, because every business out there across the real world struggles with two things.
Mm-hmm.
We're not selling enough of our stuff, and we're not hiring enough of the right people.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to blame it on every circumstantial event known to mankind, right? It's Trump's fault. It's Biden's fault. It's the Pope. It's the price of gold. Like they're always blaming it on somebody other than themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, you got to give people a reason, a real reason to like you and trust you and want to buy from you or want to work for you, right? You got to give them that. And a story can convey that better than anything out there. And so I started telling their stories about 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm really hooked on it, and I really like it.
Yes, I know you love meeting people.
Oh my gosh, I meet the most bizarre people you can imagine.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
I do. I meet the
That's
greatest
question right here. Then, what's the craziest story you've heard?
Oh, I don't know about crazy, but I will tell you the best stories come from Iowa. And I'll tell you why. My favorite state, because people ask me this question all the time. What is your favorite state? Because I go all over the place, right? Iowa. And they look at me like, what's wrong with this guy? Oh, the looks on people's faces, as you can imagine. And they're like, okay, well, why? And I said, well, here's why. The greatest subculture of people in the world are the farmers. The people that are waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and have been doing so since age 5, in the dark, in the rain, in the tornadoes, in the snow. And they're out there and they don't eat until the livestock eats. Literally. They don't eat until the cows eat. And this is why I tell people next fall, when I change careers, I'm going to become the president of the United States. And I will tell you what my mandate is. I have one mandate. I am not jerking around with vaccines and masks and all. I'm not doing that. Here's my mandate. Every 6-year-old child, parents take note, 6-year-old child in this country is going to spend a summer on a cattle ranch in Iowa or Nebraska.
I probably need to do that now.
I think that is awesome. Yes.
You know what time the kids are going to get up every day? 4 a.m. Every day they're getting up. And I'm telling you, I am going to change the culture of the world through farms. I just think when it comes to discipline and character, farmers are it. And so the greatest stories in the world come from farms.
Well, Jenny was talking about earlier, getting outside, helping around, helping with the pool, getting her hands in the dirt, doing that physical manual labor. And like you say, it's not get up and get on the Game Boy or the whatever, get on the screen. It's, hey, I've got to work. I love what you say. There's so many skills. Sorry to get a little passionate about it. So many skills that go into these farmers. I mean, they've got to fix things. They've got to be strong. They've got to be smart. They've got to know the weather. Yep. They've got to be in tune with nature in a way that I know that I'm not, right? I live in asphalt and laptops, but I think it's a great thing to what you say there. Tell us about some of the folks that you've met and some of the ways that you're telling those stories after Jeannie asked this question.
I do have one question. You said that you tell stories. You're like, okay, you started telling their stories. In what way? How do you do that? I mean, like, do you?
Well, there's a number of different components to the answer to that question. Number one, it depends on the purpose of the story. So, for example, I'm writing a story right now for a plumbing, heating, and air conditioning company located in Cedar Falls, Iowa. And it's called You're a Father First. It's a really good story. And it's the story about how this business owner really does put his people first, be it spouses, parents, they're first. And the purpose of this is to grow the business. So this particular story is going to manifest itself in the form of a written book. And this written book is going to get printed and signed by the owner of the company, and it's going to get sent to every customer after every job is done. And then it's going to get sent to targeted neighborhoods in places where they have yet to do business. And he's going to use this as a way to give these people a reason to trust this company. Because if I'm going to hire a plumber or an air conditioning guy in my house, I better trust him, because I'm handing that person the keys to the house, right? So this whole story is about breeding trust to grow a business. Okay, that's one example. Another example, I'm writing another story called Responsibility Never Sleeps. And it's the story of a guy who grew up in La Crete, Canada, which is about 500 miles north of Edmonton. It's really in the middle of nowhere. And when this guy was 5 years old, his parents relocated to Bolivia. Yes, as in Central America. And he lived in Bolivia from age 5 to age 18. And they had cows and they had livestock. This guy was up at 5:30 in the morning as an 8-year-old child, feeding cows and milking cows every single day. If they didn't milk cows, they didn't eat. And this guy's attitude growing up as a kid was, if we don't do the work, not doing the work is not an option. I mean, this is all he knew, right, since age 6. And he came back to Canada and he started a trucking company. And he built this thing up, and he just sold it about 2 years ago. And he sold it for like $800 gazillion, you know, that kind of thing. And he's very successful. And the purpose of this book, this is really more of a legacy book.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this is, you know, I see a pattern among business owners. There's 3 phases of their life.
Okay.
Phase number 1, they're building, collecting, and achieving. That's what they're doing in the early part of their life. Then in the next phase, they go, you know what? It's not about building, collecting, and achieving. It's about significant impact on other people's lives. So now they want to be an influencer. They want to do things that make an impact on other people. Then they get to another stage where they go, now it's about legacy. Now it's about what is the forever fingerprint that I'm going to leave behind for my kids, my grandkids, my employees, their kids, and those kids, and 10 generations down the road I'll never meet. And they think about this. And so the story then becomes almost like a gift to these other people. And that's kind of the purpose of the story that I'm writing for the client.
That's awesome.
So, stories go a long way. They can be marketing tools. So like you're talking about a quick story to build trust and likability. That's really what the differentiator is. And something like HVAC world, something like I do. I mean, it's communication, people, likability. Mike, we've talked about that before. Likability and then a compelling story. That's how it's done. That's the difference.
Also, to me, it's like you doing that puts it gives a nice I don't know what you'd say, but it's like you wouldn't think that there would be a story to tell with HVAC. You know what I mean? But it makes that company like real. It gives them personality. I think that's awesome, because then once you know somebody, just like Joe commented on, trust is the real currency in business. I mean, you know, you can trust them. I don't know. I just think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, the backstory to that is one of the employees of this company in Iowa walked into the owner's office one day about 6 months ago, and he said, I've got a problem. So they sit down and they talk. And he says, listen, I really like my job. I like the company and I like what I do. And I want to be a team player. The problem is I have 4 kids. And the owner of the company looks at him and he interrupts him. He says, let me tell you how this company works. He looked at him and he said, Jake, you are a father first. Period. End of story. Yep. I heard him tell me this at a dinner that I was at in Cedar Rapids about 3 years ago. And I said to him, do you have any idea what you just said? I said, look, I don't know Jake from a hole in the wall. Okay. I couldn't pick Jake out of a police lineup to save my life, right? I don't know the guy, but I can tell you this. If I'm a homeowner and my sink gets backed up and I live in Cedar Rapids and I know your company is coming, Jake is the guy, period. We're done. Here's the keys and here's a credit card. Go. I don't even have to know what it costs. Jake's the guy. And I said to him, that story has to permeate all of Iowa. And how we're going to do it is we're going to write a book. I'll write it for you. And it's going to be a masterpiece. It's going to make people laugh and it's going to make them cry. Most importantly, it's going to make them like you and trust you.
Yes.
And that's the whole purpose, right? Because if we forget, in a complicated world with AI and dashboards and all this other nonsense, and for the record, I am such a non-believer in that stuff. The only dashboard I know is this right here. That's it. That's the dashboard right there. That's it. And the only thing I have to know on that dashboard is there enough gas and am I going the right speed so I don't get a ticket? Like, that's it. I don't need anything else. And I said to him, we forget the likability factor. If people don't like you and trust you, forget it. It's over at that point. I mean,
you know, go ahead, Judy.
That is so true, because it's like, I don't care if you're the best. If I don't like you, I'm not.
Forget it.
Nope.
You're not coming to my house.
I know someone. It happens to be what I'll say it this way. So, sometimes when people know too much and want to let people know how much they know, say about mechanical, that doesn't necessarily make me like you. It makes me think that you're knowledgeable, but sometimes it's just so much that, you know, and as salespeople, we think that we've got to know everything. And I have found that knowing too much and wanting to be the expert and trying to kind of that doesn't always go well, does it, Mike?
No, it doesn't. You know, it's funny. You're in the HVAC business. Here's the next book I'm going to write. I am really a fan of blue collar work. I'm a big fan of it because you and I both know that a kid gets out of school, out of high school. They don't need to go to college. I'm going to write the book, Don't Go to College. Trust me, it's coming. And I'm telling you, I'm going to win half of the parents in America, and I'm going to alienate the other half. I know that.
Hey, that's a perfect place to be.
My mom is in that category of people who think if my grandkids don't go to college, they're a loser. Yeah. And my mom and I bang heads about this on every phone call. And look, for some professions, I get it. You got to go to college.
Well, there's some that you have to, you know.
Some kids don't need to. And I'm telling you, I told my 18-year-old nephew, he called me one day about a year ago and he said, I want some career advice. He lives in Raleigh. And he says, I need some career advice. I said, don't go to college. My sister just about
lost it.
Oh my gosh. And I said, Lee, I told him the truth. He needs to go to the very best HVAC, plumbing, pipe fitting, pick your trade. It doesn't matter. The very best company in Raleigh, North Carolina. And if he doesn't know who that company is, call me and I'll find him.
Yeah.
You get in front of the CEO, the owner of the company, and you say this. My name is Matt. I'm 18. I don't even know what a toilet is, but I'm telling you, I will be the first one to show up and I will be the last one to leave.
Ooh.
You will get a hiring bonus on the spot. They will teach you everything you need to know. And you're going to make, you're going to make good money. I mean, just look at the bill when the plumber shows up, right? It's pretty damn good. They make really good money, not to mention, mom and dad, job security. Because the last time I checked, I don't care which way the economy is going, whether there's a virus or not, whether it's Trump or Biden or Bozo the Clown running the show, toilets back up. And when they do, people call the plumber. That's just, I mean, I don't know about you, but when my toilet backs up, I'm not going to get in there and fix it. Are you kidding me? There's water all over my house from here to Hong Kong, right? Last time I checked, when it's hot like it is right now, they push the blue button and they expect the air conditioning to work. Yep. And when it's cold in the winter and they push the red button and they expect the heat to work. Like, this is not going to change for the next 35,000 years, right? And not to mention, mom and dad, you're not going to get a bill from the local university, which what's the going rate now? About $38,000 a minute or whatever the number is?
Yeah, minimum.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, because my husband, he is an electrical contractor.
God bless.
You will always need electricity.
Always.
You always need electricity.
Yeah, well, it's the fastest way to and see if y'all, I mean, there's so many folks with, trying to create some type of online business, something technology driven. And there's a lot of great ideas and a lot of people hitting home runs and a lot of people that are striking out completely. If I'm a young person and I want to be an entrepreneur, I do what Mike's talking about. I go in, I learn the trade early, then use communication skills to grow the business and there's then use social media as a tool to promote that. I think that's the easier path. Now, of course, Joe makes a great point here. Where if I'm going in for heart surgery, yeah, I don't want the guy that went to the trade school.
Of course, right. Of course, that's right.
Yeah. So there's a place for that, but I would agree with you. I mean, a lot of these jobs, I didn't go to college, so I can speak like this, but sales, it's that ability to kind of show a little bit of courage, get in front of people, be yourself. I mean, it's not rocket science, but that's why you don't need to go to college, right?
No, you're right. I mean, to do what you do, you didn't need college, evidenced by the fact that you're doing it and you're successful. I didn't need college. I mean, I tell my dad all the time, you kind of threw 150 grand into the ground, Dad. Now, you would have been better off if you'd sent me to the fair with a check for 150,000. I could have had a whole lot of fun, right?
Well, you know what? It's like even my son, he went 1 year and realized this is not for him. He had a scholarship and everything, but he's like, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to do this. And a lot of it was just prerequisites. You had to take this. You had to take this Latin. You had to.
Right.
He was ever going to use in his work. So
right. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I like these comments, guys. Y'all are making me laugh, and I'm trying to pay attention to the conversation here.
Well, I am, because I'm on board with that. You don't have to go to college. I've said that so much, and I know that when I say it, people go, "What?" Because my daughter, well, she's still living at home, but she's 19. Everybody's like, "Oh, where's she going to school?" And I'm like, "She's not." I don't think it's necessary, and I think if you do think you need to go to school, go to a community college for 2 years and see how that's going to work out first.
Nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, and you'll get a good idea whether or not school is for you.
Yeah, and then you just transfer over to your 4-year college, and there you go. But if you had
a lot of kids in college today, they're like wandering goats, just running around directionless. They don't know which way they're going.
Yep.
They don't know why the only reason they're there is because somebody told them, if you don't go, you're going to go nowhere. And that is not the reason to go to college. That's a waste of time and money. And more than the money, it's the time you'll never get back. I mean, and it's just such a waste.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a top seller. I think it's going to be a top seller, and you're going to come back on Jenny Winny and the Average Dude. We're going to help you promote it. We'll get a little cut of the proceeds. I see that it's great.
You could take different people's stories that didn't go to college. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's kind of like, okay, take these people through different people's lives, to see.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look at me. I'm ready.
Well,
and
I think, I really want, I'm going to get more involved with a lot of the trades companies. I just am, because I want to help them hire better people. I mean, if they had this story, I'll give you an example. I have a friend who's a general contractor in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of other companies, it's a bit of an uphill battle to hire good people, right? So he's watching a news show one night on television, local Minneapolis news channel. And a story comes on about a lady named Laura Danielson. She's sitting in a kindergarten classroom reading a book to kindergartners that she wrote. It's called Build It. It's literally a 24-page cartoon book, literally 24 pages, cartoons that take the kindergarten kid through the stages of how a building is built, right? You have the grading, then you have the concrete and the steel and, all the different, components to a building. And it takes the kid through it. And she only wrote this book to give kindergarten kids a sense of appreciation for how a building is built. So this guy, Carl, watching this story on the news channel says, call her on the phone. So he gets this lady, Laura, on the phone and he says, I'll take 700 of your books. Here's a credit card, ship them. So Carl gets 700 copies of this book called Build It. He takes the 700 books, he donates them to one school in Minneapolis, an elementary school. And of course, you donate 700 books to a school, you're on the Christmas list for life, right? They love it. And so Carl says, I can do better. And the school's like, what do you have in mind? What if I take high school kids on field trips out to construction projects, and they can see how all this stuff in the book
works,
right? And they're like, wow, you would do that? Yeah. So they did this. This was in the year 2021. They did this. Okay. Now keep in mind, 2021 was dedicated to the year that nobody wanted to work. Okay. Keep that in mind. Okay. In the year dedicated that nobody wanted to work, as a result of 700 books and taking kids on field trips, they hired 15 graduating seniors from that effort. And to this day, those 15 kids are still there.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you talk about, and then I thought, wait a minute, build it, ship it, wire it, heat it, cool it. That's like chicken soup for the soul. That book can be written for any industry, any corporation out there.
I'll be honest with you. I want to read that book. You know, I mean, really just thinking about, had I not done some of the things that I've done through my career, I had no idea what the difference between a split system and a package unit was when I got into HVAC. I mean, I didn't know, I didn't understand what a storm drain system was until I worked in the site work construction business, right? But we start putting these things together. I love that simple, elementary, hey, this is what we're doing and why, right? Because otherwise it's this some mysterious, complicated thing and like, oh, I don't know how to do that kind of thing. Well, break it down in elementary school terms, and then I can wrap my head around it. And then of course it goes, the holes are deep, right? Mechanical, HVAC, it's pretty simple. And it's also at the same time, pretty doggone complicated, you know? But give me the basics so I can wrap my head around it. And I love that book. Build it.
The whole idea behind what I just told you was the book is just an excuse. It's a credible excuse to get in front of kids and parents. That's all it is.
Right.
And the book is only designed to give the kid an understanding and appreciation. Like, for example, if I was writing one, let's say for FedEx, I'm just using them because they're a well-known company in the trucking and shipping industry. If I was doing one for a shipping company, I would just show the processes of how stuff is picked up and put on pallets and put in trucks and airplanes, and it gets sent out stores, so that when the kid goes to Target or Walmart, they don't just think the stuff came from the back room, right? They have an understanding of the cost and the effort that it takes to put, you know, the pens and the loaf of bread and all the things in the store that people buy every day to where they come from, because kids need an understanding and a sense of appreciation for things. And a story like that gives it to them. It just gives, and if you think about it, that book is just, it's like something a parent can do for their kid, and you've now won the parents. And I tell blue collar companies, your market to recruit for the future is mom and dad.
Oh,
Mom
yes.
and dad. I would be channeling my efforts to parents who have kids that are like 12, 13, 14, and 15. That's where my efforts would be going. Because in due time, I mean, it's kind of like how, you know, like college coaches like Nick Saban and these guys, they're getting to moms and dads of the players when they're 10, 11, 12, and 13, right? Because by the time they go to college, it's too late. So you got to get in front of parents who have young people, and you get mom and dad going, oh my God, I want my kid working for that guy doing that. Perfect. I mean,
yeah,
that's so true.
Yeah, it's a great tool to create proximity, you know.
You're just trying to get in front of mom and dad. That's all you're doing.
Yeah, but I think it's such a valuable thing.
You do something for the kid, you won the parent.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Right, Jenny, you know that. You won the parent, right?
Yes.
Mike, I know that you're writing these stories for folks that have had success and want to pass on their you know, to be the lighthouse, as I've heard you say it, for future generations and that sort of thing. What is it that you think that makes people start? Well, number one, you remember.
Oh, I missed what the last thing he said.
Yeah, I mentioned
Daniel, you froze up on us.
Say that one thing.
I mentioned that book Halftime because I wanted to talk just a little more about leaving that legacy. What is it that we want to tell folks? Because sometimes I think about that, you know, if I was sick, right? And I needed to pass a message along to my kids. Okay, I've said a lot of things, everything. What is it that I really want to say? What is it that I really want to leave? The marking on the wall, right? What picture do I want to draw? What are some of the things that you hear from some of the folks that you're talking about what they want to say or how they want to say it? Is that something that a lot of people want to do?
Yeah, I was just on the phone earlier this morning with a friend of mine in Charlotte who about 6 months ago almost died. He needed a heart transplant and he got one and he's doing fine today. And the question I asked him, I said, Marty, I said, if you were writing a legacy story for your kids and your grandkids, because he's got grandkids now, he's like in his 60s. And I said, what is the one single most important thing you would want your kids and your grandkids to remember and live by for the rest of their life?
Mm-hmm.
And he said this: be kind. Increase the amount of kindness that's a part of your everyday life. And I said, why is that important to you? And he said, because if you look out across the world and you look at all these problems, he said, it's not Biden versus Trump. It's not the blacks versus the whites, the rich versus the poor. He said, the problem is there's not enough kindness out there. You cannot agree with somebody. You can have a whole different point of view, whether it's financial, marital, or political. You can have a whole different angle on something. That doesn't mean you have to be unkind.
Right.
And I said to him, I got a lot of friends who are about as opposite from me politically as you can get. I'm very hardcore conservative. These are very hardcore liberal. But you know what? We're very close friends because we treat each other with kindness and respect. Yep. And we found the things we have in common. I mean, I like these people and I can tell you who they are. I mean, I know where they live. I know their spouses' names, their dogs' names. I mean, they're good friends of mine because we demonstrate that act of kindness towards one another and respect. Yeah. And that's, and this becomes very important to people. And I don't know what it is that triggers this in somebody's mind or in their heart. But I think at some point in life, they get to the spot where they go, there's only so much sand in the hourglass, only so much. I mean, it's not running out today, but it's finite. And then they go, what kind of impact can I have forever? Because I've learned a lot during my life, and especially business owners. And the business owner that struggled, that started the business in grandma's garage with a nickel that they found in the gutter on the street. I mean, that kind of story, right?
Yeah.
Some of these stories are very, very compelling, and they should be passed on. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to tell a story, whether it's like an anthology, like it started in 1852 with my great-grandfather that immigrated from Czechoslovakia, and here's that story, and then his son and that story, right? Almost like an anthology. It can be a story of just, here's the most important lessons I learned. I'm going to start a book in September called Push the Reset Button. And it's a story of a business owner outside of Detroit who owns a wealth management firm. And the story goes back to the 1952 Olympics in Helsinki, Finland, where his grandfather wrestled for a gold medal. And this whole story is about how this guy came over from one of the Middle Eastern countries many years ago when there were wars going on, and how he left everything behind and risked everything to come to Detroit. And it's just a great story that he wants his kids and their kids and their kids to remember and live by. And so what triggers that desire in people, I don't know. But I know that it gets triggered automatically. I don't trigger it. It's nothing that I do or say. It's something that happens to them. Here's a question. Can you read this? My eyesight isn't quite that good.
Well, it says, much appreciation as he has a lot of good insights. We do need more kind in humankind. Mike, what do you think from all the people you've seen are the number one and number two best traits for a person in business? For him, agape love, unconditional love. And then number two is curiosity and respect. But what do you think are the number one and two best traits for a person in business?
The thing that jumped right to the top of my mind, besides being kind, being a better listener. Salespeople are terrible listeners overall. They're terrible. And when I say listen, and here's why I say that. Because they might sit there and not say anything, and they think they're listening.
Yeah.
But not. Because what's going through their mind is, how am I going to get to the next step? How am I going to get the contract signed? And they're counting commissions.
Yep.
No. When you're listening to somebody, you've got to be so tuned in. You're just there to understand. You're not there to take a next step. You're not there to fix anything or advise anything or correct anything.
I love that answer. You know,
people need to be understood. And when they feel understood, the bridge of trust is solidly built.
Yes.
I would 100% agree with that. And what I would say is that doing a podcast, doing what we're doing right now, is the absolute best sales training for the type of sales that I'm in that I could possibly be doing. To your point, it's about listening, not about what my next question is or where I want to take the conversation. I need to hear Mike. I need to think, who is Mike? I need to be curious about who he is.
Yes.
You do that on a sales call, they're going to feel that, right? You're interested in their situation.
That's why the only sales tool you need is a piece of paper and a pen.
Yeah, I agree.
Funny,
we lost.
Wow. We're at the end of the show. There he is.
I got into this conversation with a vice president of sales from some software company that claimed that they could predict pipeline sales accuracy to like 400% or whatever the number was.
Right.
And I said to the guy, I'm sure the tool that you sell, I'm sure it was designed by people that are way smarter than I'll ever be. I'm sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, I can do quite well without it.
Yeah.
Because my only sales tool is called a piece of paper and a pen. And these, if you go to a hotel, these are free. And so are these. And when this runs out of ink, you go to your kitchen counter and you reach into the mug on the kitchen counter and you grab another one. Every kitchen counter on earth is full of these, right? And I said, the only reason
there you go, Judy.
I have a memory far worse than Fred Flintstone. And I have to write things down or I don't remember it.
Yep.
And if it's important enough for them to say it, it's important enough for me to remember it. And this is my sales tool. That's it. You don't
I
need
love that.
AI and dashboards and chat GPT and all that nonsense. That stuff is nothing. How do I want to say this correctly? I think it's much closer to a scam than it is anything that's really useful and productive. Personally, I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of makes me think about, people say they start a new sales career with a new company. They're trying to learn the business. And the first thing that they want, I need marketing materials, right? I need brochures, I need cards. And I'm like, why? So they have something to throw away, but it's like a security blanket. It's like, I'm going in, do you have any material you can leave? You literally are making it easy to get the excuse and to be like, I do have marketing material because I begged my boss to spend hundreds of dollars to have this marketing material ready.
Okay, you're right. Let's suppose this is a brochure. Okay, let's make that assumption. That's an example of a marketing tool that the sales guy thinks he needs, right? Okay, here's the best advice I ever got about a sales call.
Yeah.
When you're sitting in an appointment and the prospective customer says, "Can you give me a brochure?" Here's the answer. Hey, reach into the trash can and pull out the brochure the last salesperson gave you and cross out their name and write my name.
So true.
And he said, better yet, if you're on the phone with somebody and they say, well, can you mail me information?
Right? Oh, God. Right? Yeah.
Here's what you do. You go to Walmart and you buy a trash can and you take your brochure, you put it in the trash can and you mail it to the guy. And the sticky note on the trash can says, I figured you were going to throw it out anyway, so I saved you the trouble.
Oh,
ding, ding, ding. Like, are you kidding me? That is genius.
Right? Yeah, a little way to differentiate yourself and kind of break the frame and
who is not going to remember that for the rest of their life?
Right.
And probably laugh and go, I kind of like that guy. He's creative. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Call him on the phone. I don't know what he sells, but I'll take 3 of them because I like him. Right?
Yes.
I mean,
well,
you just got to listen to people. I mean, that's why I tell salespeople when they say, well, why should I buy from you? Right? Take your business, Dan. Why should I hire you guys for my HVAC needs? Right? You know how most salespeople answer that question. Oh, for about 20 minutes, Jenny, they're like a confetti cannon. Here comes the bullet points and the brochures, right? I mean, it's like a snow gun, right? Say this instead. Look at them and stare at them for a second and make them a little uncomfortable. And then you say, you know what? I don't think you should necessarily pick us.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good companies out there. We're not the only one. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to send you a link on your text message to a story. It's only 2.5 minutes long. Watch the story. Watch the story. And you call me tomorrow and you tell me whether or not we should have another conversation. I'll let you decide. Then you pack up and you walk away and you go that way. Now you're moving away from them.
And they're
they like that. Because who likes it when you go like this? Who likes that? Nobody likes it when they get accosted and they get attacked. I mean, why do you think people don't like to go to car lots? Because the car people go like this, right?
Yeah.
And they don't like that. They don't.
No.
You know what? Whether you're on a car lot or not, nobody likes this. But most salespeople, this is how they live.
Yep.
Because and that desperation mode, commission breath.
I'm going to fault the sales managers mostly on this one. Most of these bozos, and I'm going to use the word bozos because quite frankly, I think most of them shouldn't be doing the job they're doing. But they're out there telling their salespeople, go in for the close and get the contract. Is Tuesday good or is Thursday better? And they've got all the tricks and all the nonsense. And that stuff is just, it's nonsense. It is.
It is. It is.
And I think they're mismanaging. I think most salespeople are not very successful because I think they're misled. I think they're misled by people who don't really understand the value of relationships. And it's a long game. It's a long play. It's not going to happen quickly.
That's right.
Well, everybody.
You plant all these seeds, boy, in due time, you're the guy they're going to call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan, especially in a business like yours, because you know it's only a matter of time before the AC unit doesn't work. I was at a medical building yesterday with my wife, and there was a guy in there from Countrywide, the big mechanical HVAC company, because it was about 800 degrees in that building, and nobody likes it. It's only a matter of time before somebody's going to get a phone call.
Right. It's not a transactional. It's relationship. It's ongoing. I mean, there's a guy that, I hear from some of these folks, a couple of times a week. Right. So I made the sale, so to speak, right, months and years ago in some cases. It's an ongoing situation. The relationship side of sales, it's different than, you get these guys, the Grant Cardones and some of these other folks, and we're actually going to have one that comes on here. It's a little, everybody wants to be a closer because they listen to these folks, but a hard close doesn't make sense in some businesses and in some situations. So.
No, and nobody likes to live that way and conduct themselves that way. I mean, I got an email. One of my newer customers is a business owner from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Sends me an email about a month ago. He says, hi, my name is Glenn Bostock. Here's my cell phone. Please call me. I'm like, okay, the guy wants me to call him. I didn't know who this guy was. I looked at the name of the company and I went, Snapcab. I've heard of that company. Philadelphia. And I get on the phone with him and I say, listen, I'm really flattered that you wanted me to call you. How do you know who I am?
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago, you came to Philadelphia and spoke at a meeting 10 years ago. Jenny, there weren't more than 15 people in that group. Not more than 15.
Word.
I flew from San Diego to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to meet 15 people and spend a few hours with 15 people in a speaking engagement. I didn't make hardly any. I think that thing paid me $1,000, like nothing, right?
Yeah.
But I did it. And they remember. He says, you probably don't remember me, but I remembered you.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's an example of, you go on these sales calls, they're just credible excuses to meet people. Yep. Whether somebody buys anything or not is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. I mean, I think most people would do better if they lived without a scorecard.
Mm-hmm.
I think the score would be higher if they lived without the scorecard.
I agree.
I think we have too much of our actions are conditionally tied to a result that we expect or that we want.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a mistake. Mm-hmm. I think you have to divorce yourself from a lot of results. If you want to measure results, just measure the amount of people you're meeting on a favorable basis consistently. That's really the only thing you need to know.
I agree with you, Mike.
You do enough of that, whatever you're selling, whether it's books, HVAC, it doesn't matter. it's going to be enough.
Having conversations, having good conversations, quality conversations,
Making
meeting people,
connections,
likability, all of those things. I love talking to you, Mike. We're about 10 minutes overtime right now.
we could just keep going.
So we're going to do what you do a couple of times per month. We're going to land this plane. Any final thoughts? Somebody out there listening that's still tuned in, I'm going to let you close us out. Antarctic Mike. Mike, any final thoughts? Yeah. What's one message? 30-second message.
I would say just go out and just have fun meeting some people today that you don't know.
Yeah.
Meet somebody you don't know. Meet them in person, meet them online. I mean, meeting people online is so easy. It's like tripping over your feet. I mean,
yes,
it's a piece of cake.
Yeah.
You know, meet them on a favorable basis. Don't meet them with strings attached to what you want or what you need. Just meet them because you want to meet them. And
because people need that attention. And people want to be recognized. Yeah. So, hey, Mike is the man. Joe is the man. Jenny Winny is the woman. And the average dude's just an average dude, you know? I mean, hey, I appreciate you, Mike. Appreciate you
guys.
so much.
Right.
And everybody out there, all the comments, fantastic. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Good day.
Let's roll.